Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Speak Life podcast. We are so excited to have you with us for another wonderful week. I am your host, Minister Phoenix, alongside this beautiful and amazing chocolate beautiful woman that I get to call my co-host, my wife. Tell them who you are just in case they don't know.
Hey, wonderful people. Welcome again to the Speak Life podcast. This is your co-host, the one and only Sheikah. Yes, there's only one of
Only
me.
one. I don't think the world can handle more than one.
Only one.
Only one.
So we're just so happy you're here with us today.
Yes, indeed.
And
so
we have another interesting topic.
We ain't even going into the topic yet. We gonna just shout out to people who are listening. So if this is your first time listening to the podcast, we appreciate y'all joining with us today. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment to be a part of these conversations. We want to hear what you think. Comment. We love those comments. And
thank you for everyone who's saying nice, things about our podcast and all these encouraging words, and we just keep hearing it, and we just really appreciate
y'all.
So we thank y'all.
Yes, and if you are the part of the faithful listeners who tune in week after week, I say this every episode, and I'm gonna keep saying it every single episode. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all because we couldn't do this without y'all. Otherwise, we just be sending stuff out there, and whoever listens, hopefully someone listens. But if you tune in week after week, we really do appreciate y'all joining with us. So we are going to jump into the episode. As you can see, this is our timer, by the way, to keep us on track. So if you're wondering why that's there, that's because I be going off on tangents all the time. So I got something to see to keep us in our time frame for our episodes. We try and get back to less than an hour. So yes. This week, we are going to be talking about something believers don't normally talk about. And that's important because there's a lot of elephants that be in the room that we just don't be talking about. We like, nah, we're going to avoid that topic like the plague. But today we are going to talk about being worry-free. Worry-free. No cares in the world. Worry-free. Now, just to start off our conversation, we got to build a base of something to talk about. What do people worry about? What are some things that cause people to worry? Don't worry, be happy. What are some things that cause people to worry?
I feel like people worry because the unknown, not knowing. And just like, if anyone is like me, like, there's certain things that I just like to be in control of.
Everything. Let's just be right. Okay, not everything, but the majority of everything.
Because I just like to, I like things to go a certain way.
Oh, Lord.
So, but I wouldn't say every day. I'm not going to agree with that.
We can agree to disagree.
Okay, we will. But, like, sometimes you just worry because you just want to be in control, and some things are just, you can't be in control of it. Some things are just out of your control. And also not knowing what's coming next.
When do we ever really know?
No, like,
what's coming next?
No, like, honestly, like, you're like, okay, say for instance, if it's a job and you're going on a job interview and you're like, okay, you expect to get the job. So if anyone is like me, I'm going to be worrying until I hear a call back or something. So like, if you're kind of like, don't care, or not even say don't care, but you're like, okay, you know what, I'm going to leave this in the hands of God, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to leave it alone. If it's for me, it's for me, and that's it. Then it's like, you're like, okay, that's when faith comes in. But so oftentimes, like, we don't think about worrying as not having faith. It's like, okay, I worry because I just want to know. And I want to know right now.
You're bringing up questions I ain't even thought about.
I don't want to wait.
You're bringing up stuff I didn't even think about.
So I feel like it's like just not knowing the unknown. Like, I want to know. I want to always know. And then when you don't know, it's like it brings about that anxiety and that worrying and before you know it, it's like your mind is just all over the place.
Honestly, when I think about it, I'm like, what don't we have to worry about? Like, especially in the current state of the world. It's like there is so much that we could be worried and fret about. We like Corona. The cove is everywhere. We got variants, so many different variants. It's like, is the cove ever gonna leave? Is my job secure? Are my kids gonna be causing me to stress out and lose my mind? There's so many things that we have to worry about. Like, there's so many things that we could worry about. It doesn't take much to look around and find something that if you ain't worrying, that you could easily be worried about.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that we're going to jump into with this episode. Just thinking about that, when we have all these things that we worry about, we have all these things that we stress about, that we're like, I don't know how this is gonna go, and I'm worried if this is gonna go through. And like, even if you have your own business and you're like, is this gonna be successful?
Exactly.
Even thinking about jumping into projects that you may want to do, dreams and aspirations, career moves. It's like the unknown is one of the biggest stressors that we have as people. Just not knowing just causes us to just lose sleep.
Exactly.
So it's like, with that, are there physical problems that come along with worrying? Because I know we have the emotional piece to it, but are there physical things that go along with that?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like when you worry brings stress.
Mm-hmm.
And stress brings all types of different illnesses. Like ulcer, that comes from stress. You know what I mean? So it's like stress bring, like, I know when I'm worrying and when I'm stressing, my shoulders, that's where I feel it. My back, like everything just start hurting, my neck. So it's like, and that's when I know I'm stressing. That's when I know I'm worrying too much. So yeah, absolutely.
And I think for me, like, there's a lot of different things, like, when we think about stress, that we probably don't even like realize.
The
like,
little headaches that we were like,
the
I just
big
have a
headaches. I don't even get little headaches. Like, the back of my head just be feeling like it's in a vice grip. When I start stressing about things, like, oh my gosh, my head.
And that's what worrying do.
And even like raising your blood pressure.
Yeah.
Can cause by stress. Putting on weight.
Yeah. That
people don't even be knowing that. Fat. You be wondering where that coming from. You like, but I don't even be eating that much.
My belly's just
Why my belly getting big? Because you stress.
Yeah.
You stressing. Lack of sleep. A lot of people don't realize that stress can cause you to literally lose sleep at night. Because you are too worried about what's happening maybe at work, or even things that are going on, and you're like, oh my gosh, and then you toss and turn on that. You dreaming about the things that you're stressing about.
Yeah.
And that will really cause you to lose sleep, change of attitude as a result of stress. A lot of people don't pick up on those things. They think, they just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. No. Brother man, sister girl is stressed out. So now they snappy at everybody because they worrying about stuff that they have no control over. And I think that's a big thing about it. And I really want to talk about, that piece, when we have these, and you mentioned it earlier. So I'm just pulling off of what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Is worrying equal to lack of faith?
Yes, we don't look at it like that. No, honestly, we do not look at it like that. But worrying, when you worry, you're saying, you know what, God, I don't believe that you have control over this thing, or I don't believe that you're going to come through. So you worrying is like, that's what you're telling God. But when you're not worrying, you're like, you know what, I do not know where my mortgage is coming from, but God, I am going to trust that you are going to send some money my way to pay my mortgage. That's faith. But if you do not know where your mortgage is going to come from and you keep worrying about it, you're telling God, like, yeah, I don't think you can do it. I don't think you could move things around in my life for me to be able to pay my mortgage. I don't believe that you can open that door for me to get that job.
Someone may think that's kind of extreme.
Maybe. But that's what it is. Like, we worrying so much to the point where we are being stressed, losing sleep, getting sick. Like, over things that we have no control over.
No control over.
So I do believe that worrying is like saying, I do not have faith that God can do what he say he can. I say it, but do I believe it?
That is an interesting thing. Now, I have an interesting take on this. I do have a very interesting take on this. I actually look at it in two different ways. Mm-hmm. In some cases, I do believe that you worrying can be a lack of faith to an extent. And why I say it like this is because some people haven't had that experience yet.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about for believers.
Yeah, but you can, depending on where you are in your walk, in your belief, in your experiences with God, I feel like that can really limit what you believe that God can do. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, if I haven't seen God move mountains just yet, at least in my life, how can I expect him to move this thing that looks like a mountain? And I think with that comes an experience piece, that you have to have that experience in order to really not worry about certain things. Mm-hmm. And that's the first piece of it. But then the second piece is, I think that God will allow you to increase your faith based off of the things that you worry about. He'll use those as opportunities to build your faith, where it's like you see these things that look like they're impossible, and even though you're worried about it, you still got that little measure of faith that you hold it on
that's
to.
What the Bible talks about. It says if you have faith as little as a mustard seed.
And I think that God will use those things that we worry about.
And he knows. That's why he said if you have faith as little as a mustard seed, that's all you need. So I feel like God already knows that we're going to be worrying and we're going to be like stressing and all that. But at the same time, I'm sticking to what I said.
I'm not trying to change.
I know, because I'm just saying, even if the faith is as little as a mustard seed, we still have some unbelief in there. Like, we're like, okay, God, like, I don't really see how this is going to happen. So let me worry, because when you worry, you feel like you're in control. Like, okay, I'm going to worry about this because I'm going to try everything I can to try to fix this.
I don't know. That's not how I feel about worrying. For me, I think for me, the whole worrying piece is it's not that I think I can fix it, but I think it's because I see the problem. Mm-hmm. And I recognize my inability to fix it.
Well, yeah.
And then it's like, in that piece, it's like, okay, well, there's this problem. I don't know how I'm going to fix it.
So I'm going to.
So who going to fix this problem?
But I think it goes hand in hand. Like, it's different. Like, okay, there could be a situation where you're like, okay, I could try to fix it. Where, for example, let's go back to the job situation. Like, I know I need a job. For me to try to fix it, I'm going to have to go out and interviews after interviews. I can't just sit back and expect that I'm just going to get a job like that. So so it's like you're saying, okay, I'm going to try to do my part in trying to get this job to fix this situation so I could pay my bills. So it's like I'm worrying because I'm like, okay, I'm worrying, but I'm like, I am going to do my part. I am going to try to fix this by trying to get this job. But then when you think of something bigger, like something like what we just experienced, not to put anything out there, but like as far as like when you don't see where things are coming from. You don't see how it's gonna happen. You don't know. And for you and I, and in that time, with that season of our life, I was the one who was worrying. Like, I was like, Lord, I do not know. And I was leaning on your faith, because you had faith that this is not it. God is going to turn things around. Things are going to work out for our good. Like, this is not the end of it for us. And for me, I was just like, Lord, I don't see it. I do not feel it. I don't know.
So in this case, and this is a really good piece to really touch on, because in this case, even though you didn't see where things were coming from, did that take away your faith in believing God could do what he does?
So no, but it was very, very hard for me to hold on to faith in that moment.
But even still,
no, I had a little bit. No, honestly, because it was hard, but it did not take away my faith. It was just, I really had to be intentional and like really talk to God and look back on my experience that I've had with like things that I see how God come through for me. And through those experiences that I had, I was able to look back and say, you know what, God, you did it back then, so I know you can do it again. But it was one of those things where I feel like my mind was under attack as to like, well, he's the same God. And it's like, well, what if you don't want to do it this time? You know, it was just like a lot of...
Wow, this is an interesting piece. I love this one.
It was a lot of back and forth. Like, okay, well, you see what he did before. And then you start looking in the Bible and you're like, you see all these people. You're like, well, God helped this one. God, you know, helped the children of Israel. God helped Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Like, you just start looking at all these people that you're like, okay, God show up at the right time. But then in the back of your head, there's like this spirit, like,
but what if he don't show up?
What if he don't show up? What if he's trying to teach you a lesson?
But what if he don't
so it's like,
up?
it's all of that going through. And for me at the time, I'm like, well, Lord, I've experienced you back then, and I've experienced you before then. And it's like, well, why don't you have faith then? Why don't you think I'll do it again? But then it's like, but what if it's a joke moment? Or what if you're trying to teach me a lesson or something? So it's always that. But then I had to come to my senses and be like, you know what? Lord, I am a child of God. You will not put me, like, God, there's no way you're going to put us through this.
So,
you know,
as a believer, because you jumping into some really deep waters right now. You jumping into some deep waters right now.
I'm in trouble.
As a believer, should we worry? If yes, why yes? If no, why no?
Honestly,
what do you think?
Honestly, as a believer, I don't think we should worry. And the reason why I say this is because I feel like I need something to drink. But the reason why I say this is because, like, as a believer, and us having the experience and knowing, having the Bible to show us, the book to guide us, to lead us, I feel like we should know that God is going to come through for us because we're serving him, we believe in him, we're trusting in him. And we should know that as the same way we love our children, and it doesn't matter what they're in and what they're going through, we're going to try to show up for them at all times. So when I look at it like that
is a good
I look at God and I'm like,
that is a
we
good
are
comparison.
his children. So God, I'm serving you. Why would you allow me to go through this?
Can you run that back for people who weren't paying attention? Because that comparison was amazing. For all the parents who are listening to the podcast, this one is for you guys. This is for you, because you should be able to relate to this.
Yeah, you know.
Run it back for them, just in case it went over their head and they ain't gonna go back in the episode.
What? The Holy Spirit was leading me, so hopefully I can remember this.
Come on, tell them again. Tell them again.
So what I said was that, like, the same way we as parents, we are always going to be there for our children.
Always.
We're always going to show up for them. It doesn't matter what they do.
Doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. We're going to show up.
It don't make a difference.
So therefore, if we are children of God, why wouldn't he want to show up for us?
Why wouldn't he show up for us?
At all times.
Why wouldn't he show up for us?
So my thing is this. Why should I worry?
Why should I worry?
Like, I shouldn't worry because I am a child of God. I am his child. So therefore, he's always going to be there for me. He's always going to show up for me.
Always?
Even when I'm not acting right. He's like,
he giving you the side eye, but he's like, you know what?
Like, I love you.
I still love you, but you getting the side eye from the throne room.
I may delay things a little bit for you.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, I may delay it a little bit, but I'm still gonna help you out.
Oh.
It may take a little bit of time.
This is.
But I'm still gonna show up for you.
Oh. You could pass an offering
on
that one.
Like, so for me, I'm like, I don't think as children of God, as believers, I don't think we should worry, because we should have the faith, and we should have we should have it in us to say, like, it doesn't matter. Our Father is going to show up for us because he loves us that much. He don't want to see us hurt.
Nope.
So he's going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
But do we believe it?
Do we believe it? And that's a big piece of it. And I don't think as believers we should worry, but I know as believers,
as human,
we do worry. I don't believe we should, but human side of us, we do.
We do.
Because at the end of the day, sometimes in our finite minds, we always have that thought. But what if?
And that's what gets us all the time.
What if doesn't?
Because that's what was happening.
Not now.
That's what was happening to me. Like, it's not like I did not have faith.
What if it's not in his will?
Exactly.
We got a lot of what ifs.
It's like, God, I know this is what I want. This is what I'm praying for.
We can what if
your will
ourselves out of anything.
Out of anything.
Anything. If you can think of it, we can what if ourselves out of it.
And that's the moment that I was having. And like I said, I had to come to a realization where I'm like, you know what? She could get it together. And that's when I said to myself, like, but why wouldn't God want to help me?
Why wouldn't he?
Why would he let me go through this?
Why would he do that?
Why? So therefore, I'm like, so that's when I came to the conclusion to say, you know what? Lord, and I'm always praying, like, Lord, please help my unbelief. Because sometimes I'm on the mountaintop where I'm like, yes, ain't nobody have faith like me right now. And then there's other times when I'm like, I'm sinking, like, God, I don't understand. But what really helped me during those times is the fact that I had that little bit of faith, that mustard seed faith. And that's what carried me through.
And that just is a perfect segue into this next question. Time is actually flying. I'm looking at the hourglass and I'm like, they need to add more sand to that hourglass. I don't like the fact that it's going down like that so quickly. But with that piece, it's like, how can we overcome these moments of worry? How can we overcome these times where we see things and it's messing with our minds and we start tripping like we can do something to change it? How do we get past those moments?
I think, honestly, it's going to take growth. And when I say that, I mean, like, it's going to take a lot of time with, like, us just kind of evaluating ourselves and just really thinking, like, is it worth it? Because me worrying is not going to change the situation.
Nope.
Me worrying is not going to make God work any faster.
Ain't going to do it.
Me worrying is just saying to God, like, you know what? I don't believe in you. I don't believe that you can do it for me.
You don't want to say that to the big man.
So it's kind of like, is it worth it? And that's what I would say, because, like, I know when I came to that realization, it was like someone slapped me, like, get it together. Snap out of whatever you're.
You got one of those Holy Ghost smacks. Someone's like, no one laid hands
Y'all
on
don't
you.
want that.
God laid hands on you. Literally laid hands on you. Okay. All right.
I can't with you.
I'm just saying. You said it was like somebody touched me. He was like, he touched me. Did he touch you?
No, but
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. But seriously, like it was like one of those. Like I had to snap out of it.
He slapped some sense into you. He slapped some Jesus, God fearing, faith sense into you. All right, Holy Ghost.
And it's as if like someone was just kind of rolling back the curtain and be like, okay, look, let me show you.
Oh, just in case you forgot.
Just in case you forgot. Let me show you all the time I've come through for you. Why won't I do it this time? What makes this time so different?
Okay.
So with that, when that happened, it was like, okay, you got my attention.
Nice. Now I'm about to give y'all the secret sauce right here. And this right here is what has kept me for the past few years, because it took me a while to get here. So I'm gonna give y'all the cheat code. So if y'all ain't paying attention, y'all need to pay attention, because this is deep. And this is what I told you when we was going through everything. Like, I'm gonna give y'all a little preview of things. It was like crazy on my job. Job was getting real difficult. Had to find a different job, and things were not going the way that I would expect it to go. You know, being the child of God, doing the things that God wanted me to do. I'm like, why isn't this stuff coming through?
And he was very humble.
I was.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I should have been stressing. I should have been, you know. But one thing that God has taught me, and it took some time to get here. God has taught me this right here. And if you follow this, you will always be okay. If you understand the character of God.
I remember you saying that to me.
If you understand, I'm going to say it again. If you understand the character of God, then you won't have anything to worry about. What do you mean by that? This is what I mean by that. If you understand who God is and how God works, the Bible says he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Meaning he doesn't change. His methods may change. When he does stuff may change. But the essence of exactly who he is never changes. He's the God who will never leave us or forsake us. He's the God who promises to provide for us. He's the God who is always making a way. The word says he can do exceedingly abundantly above anything that we could ever ask or think. If this is the character of the God that we serve, what is there for us to worry about? He loves us beyond anything we could ever imagine. He sent his son here, who he didn't have to do, to correct the mistake that we made. Didn't have to do it, because that's how much he loved it. This is the character of the God that we serve. When we understand that character, then what is it that we can go through that he's not going to take care of? And I've learned that God answers things 3 different ways when you ask God for something. He either says yes, he either says yes, no, or the one that we sometimes don't like, probably don't like even more than no, not yet. Those are the only 3 ways that he answers stuff. You pray to him, he'll be like, yeah, you can have this. Nope, that's not good for you. It's not in my will. Or you can have it, just not yet.
Not yet.
So if you're doing what God wants you to do, you live in how God wants you to live, and God hasn't given you what you're looking for yet, it's not time yet.
It's not time.
It's not time yet. So don't stress it. And one of my biggest prayers has been this: God, help me to trust in your timing. Because timing is everything. Because God can give you something and it not be the right time, and it can wreck your entire life.
Yep.
And I think one of the hardest things for us to do is wait and trust that God knows what he's doing. For some reason, we tend to think that God doesn't know it. Somehow, some way, in the midst of eternity and creation and everything and putting everything in order, somehow we forget that or think that somehow God doesn't know what he's doing. But he is an extremely superb architect. And I see that sand running out. So I'm just going to wrap it up real quick with this thought. But he never makes mistakes. He's always intentional in what he does. So in that case, it's like if you trust him to be who he is, then what do you really have to worry about?
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that was like a big thing for me. It's like, if it's not going how I want it to go, it's not my time.
It's not my time.
But it doesn't mean my time isn't coming. But
we've seen where we're like, God, this is what we want, right? And God said no.
I've caught a few no's and I didn't like it.
Exactly. But it was like it. But then when you get that yes, you're like, oh my gosh, God, thank you.
Like, yes.
Thank you for allowing me thank you for not saying yes to that one. Because where I am right now
is where I need to be. Is where I need to be.
And I wouldn't be able to handle if you had said yes to that situation.
And that is a big piece. Because, and this is the thing, as believers, we're always putting our hands and stuff we got no business to. We're like, I want to put my hands in this because I think this is how it's supposed to be. And God's like, hold on, that's above your pay grade. Leave that alone. I didn't tell you to do that. All I told you to do was wait on me. And rather than wait, and we like, oh, no, I want to, Jesus, I want to put my hands in this because I think some reason you may need a little help.
That's another topic about waiting.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to do that. That's another topic for another day. So I'm just going to say this. And if you trust in the character of God and you believe in the character of who God is, you have nothing to worry about.
Nothing.
You ain't got nothing to worry about. Just remember who he is. Even if you have a little faith, think about the time that you got saved. Think about the things that God has brought you through.
And even if you're not a believer, I'm pretty sure that you've come close to death at times.
You done had some experiences.
And you're like, wow, there should be no way for me to be here right now.
See, the issue with non-believers is this. They have those experiences, but they attribute it to the wrong thing. That is the only difference, because they recognize like, whoa, I shouldn't have been here. They be like, thank you to the universe. I'm sending that in the universe. Nah, you ain't sending that in the universe. Universe ain't answering you. There's one person answering you. There's one person looking out for you. They recognize it, but they don't acknowledge it. You see, and that's the only difference. They're giving credit
to somebody,
but they don't know. It's like when Paul was walking and where was he at? He was in the Athena, like, and he was looking at all these statues, and then they had this one statue, and it's like, to the unknown God. They like giving credit. They don't even know who they supposed to be giving the credit to. And Paul's like, hold up. He's like, let me tell you who this unknown God is. Yes, he was on Mars Hill. That's where he was. And he was looking at all these different statues that they had built up. And he seen the one to the unknown God. It's like, it's the same thing. It's like they see the intervention in their lives, but they attribute it to the wrong person. They're giving that credit to the wrong individual. And that's really where that piece is. So there are a lot of unbelievers who have these experiences and acknowledge these experiences and just don't know who to give that praise to.
That's right.
Shout out to the universe.
I'm done. Not at all.
No, I'm just messing. I'm just messing. You know where those praise go. Only to the Most High. Only to the Most High.
Yes. But don't forget.
Hold on, you gotta leave them with some advice. You gotta leave them with some advice. Done? This is the last one. Drop some advice.
Out, so I'm just like,
I ignore that. And when I'm in there, that just keeps me on track. But we gotta leave them with some advice. Wrap it up with some advice. Give them some advice. If they're stuck in worrying and they need to find a way out, what can they do?
Just
what are some things that can help them?
Worrying is not going to solve anything. Just know that worrying only bring on stress.
Lots of it.
Only bring on like health issues.
Lots of them.
You may not realize that it is, but it's slowly creeping up on you.
Blood pressure raising, headaches, all that.
Those stomach fat that you have around your
that
stomach
you can't get rid
and
of.
You don't know what.
No matter how many sit-ups and crunches
stress.
you do.
That's stress. Also, like, you can't even eat certain things. Like, your belly is like on fire. That's sores.
Back pain,
in your
neck
belly.
pain,
like,
headaches.
Yeah. So
short tempers.
So those worrying really only brings on stress. And I'm sitting here talking right now, and my shoulders like.
I'll massage that out for you. I got you. You know I got you.
You know, so I'm just saying that just really try not to worry too much, because it doesn't do us any good. It really doesn't do us any good.
It only does us bad.
Yeah. So that's the advice I have for you.
All right. If I could give one piece of advice, find an outlet. You got to find an outlet to keep your mind off of worrying. If you're a believer, start remembering who that God we serve is. Start remembering his characteristics. Start remembering, the promises that he gives us, and hold on to those. The more we hold on to those is the more we find strength in who he is and confidence in who he is. And that can help us to not worry about, these little things. If you're not a believer, then you need to figure out who's the one who's sustaining you.
Yeah.
How is it that you keep going on?
How is it that you waking up every day?
How do you keep getting that provision even when it doesn't seem like you should have it? It doesn't happen by accident. So, that's just a reevaluation time, And all right. So that's that. If you haven't gotten this amazing book,
When Three Roads Collide.
Yes. A memoir of God's grace by yours truly and Miss yours truly. Go check it out. Anywhere books are sold online, you can find it.
Yep.
So you have no excuse.
Well, you haven't get it from us.
If you want it from us, drop it in the comments. We'll
go to the website.
You can go to the website and order it.
ThreeRoadsCollide.com.
ThreeRoadsCollide.com. Check it out. And podcast is on all these digital platforms now. So if you're not listening to the podcast, listen to the podcast.
It's everywhere.
It's literally everywhere. Go check us out. If you're listening to this, check out the other episodes. Give us a listen. Drop those comments so we can correspond with y'all, because that's how we, get
and
you guys.
Thank y'all again for, always
commenting
and just letting us know how we're doing. We appreciate the phone calls, the text messages,
all that stuff. The
comments,
Facebook comments, the
Facebook,
whole nine,
YouTube,
everywhere. IG, everyone. Y'all be commenting everywhere. We appreciate y'all. Y'all. Remember, death and life is in the power of your tongue. So make sure you speak life. Have a great week.
Have a great
week.
We
love y'all, and we'll see y'all next week. God bless you.